there's a curve most people never see. A slow turning of the soul away from noise, away from the chase, into something quieter, older, softer. It happens when you stop trying to fix your loneliness and begin to listen to it. Most people run. They run from silence, from stillness, from that faint ache that whispers at night. You are alone, but the truth is you were born alone, and you will die alone. And somewhere between those two silences, you forgot how to speak your own language. Pause. The language of the soul is not made of words. It is made of pauses, of what is not said. When you were young, you could still hear it, in the wind through the trees, in the spaces between your thoughts, in the faces of strangers who didn't need to know your name. But as the years went on, you learned another tongue, the tongue of the world, of achievement, of comparison, of noise. You learned to speak faster, think louder, move harder, until silence felt like death. Zvuk dождя усиливается. And now you find yourself in a quiet room, with only the rain and your breathing. At first, it feels unbearable. You reach for a distraction, a screen, a sound, a voice, anything to avoid hearing the quiet truth. But slowly, something shifts. The loneliness you feared starts to soften around the edges. It becomes less like a wound and more like a doorway, because loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the presence of yourself. Pues, мягкий треск камина. And the truth is, most people never meet themselves. They live beside a stranger. They carry a name, a story, a past, but never turn around to face the one who carries it all. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it now. That faint hum, not in your head, not in your heart, but somewhere deeper. The place that remembers before you were born and waits patiently for you to remember again. That is where peace begins. Not with fixing, not with doing, but with remembering. Remembering the language of your own silence. There comes a moment when running no longer works, when every distraction begins to taste the same. Hollow, predictable, thin. It's not sadness, not quite. It's a quiet exhaustion of the spirit, a realization that the chase itself was a loneliness you tried to escape. Pause. You see, peace doesn't arrive like victory. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets or triumph. It arrives like surrender, like the body exhaling after years of holding its breath. And at first you resist it, because peace feels so much like emptiness, like the absence of all you used to cling to, the noise, the motion, the constant hunger to become. But peace is not the absence of life. It is the presence of what was always here. Tres drov камине. When you stop trying to improve every moment, when you stop reaching for what's next, you start to notice something terrifyingly beautiful. There was never anything missing. The soul doesn't want more. It wants less. Less pretending. Less proving. Less performing. It only wants truth. The kind that doesn't need to shout. Pause. So the world begins to slow. You start moving differently. You speak less, but mean more. You notice the spaces between thoughts, the rhythm of your breath, the patience of old trees that never hurry. And in those spaces, you begin to meet yourself again. Not the one you tried to fix, but the one who was never broken. Звук дождя усиливается, будто отклик издалека. That's when the loneliness begins to fade. Not because someone entered your life, but because you finally entered your own. The silence you once feared starts to feel like home. It wraps around you, not as emptiness, but as understanding. You begin to forgive yourself for all the times you left yourself behind, for all the years you spoke the world's language and forgot your own. And slowly, you begin to translate again the gestures of stillness, the grammar of breath, the sentences written by rain. Pause. This is the gentle collapse, when the walls you built to protect yourself become the doors that open you. And for the first time, you realize that the thing you were running from was never chasing you. It was waiting, patiently, lovingly, waiting for the day your soul would finally stop running and come home. There comes a night When you stop waiting for something to change. You stop searching the horizon for answers. And instead, you listen to the quiet hum beneath everything. That quiet has always been there. You just couldn't hear it before. Too much noise. Too many echoes of who you thought you had to be. Pause. Peace doesn't arrive like a guest. It grows from within like moss on stone. It takes time, stillness, and the soft willingness to be where you are. You start to notice that life was never asking you to conquer it, only to see it, to feel it, to participate in its unfolding, without trying to own it. And that realization, it breaks you in the gentlest way possible, because you understand the soul was never lost. It was simply waiting for you to stop pretending. You knew where you were going. Камин потрескивает, короткая пауза. You sit by the fire, and for the first time in a long while, you don't want to fix anything. Not the past, not the future, not even yourself. You just breathe, and in that breath, the world breathes with you. The rain doesn't sound lonely anymore. The silence doesn't sting. Even the ache in your chest, it feels less like pain, and more like proof that you are still capable of feeling. Pause. This is what peace truly is. Not perfection, but participation. Not control, but communion. You begin to see beauty in the things you once called small. A candle's flicker, a page turning, the slow rhythm of your own heartbeat. It's not that the world changed. It's that you stopped demanding it to fill your emptiness. And in doing so, the emptiness itself became sacred. Звук дождя усиливается, будто обнимает комнату. You realize now, the soul was never meant to run forever. It ran to learn the terrain, to taste the longing, to see what it means to be far from home. But now it has returned, and in returning, it brings with it everything it gathered, the sorrow, the laughter, the mistakes, the tenderness. All of it becomes part of the peace. There's no regret left, only gratitude for having lived, for having lost, for having learned what it means to come back to yourself. Pause. Outside, the rain begins to fade. The fire burns low. The world feels impossibly still, as if it too is listening. And in that stillness, you whisper to no one in particular, I am here, not as a declaration, not as a prayer, but as a truth that finally feels real. You are not chasing anymore. You are not escaping anymore. You are not waiting for the next beginning. You have become the place you always search for, and the peace that once felt foreign now feels like breathing. The rain outside softens the silence. The fire flickers one last time, and as the night folds into its own quiet rhythm, you realize this is not the end. It's the circle closing gently, only to open again.